Can you walk in and say, hey, I'm the CEO? Probably not. But can you walk in, get hired into a senior mid-level position, ask really intelligent questions in board meetings and stuff and of your peers and figure it out? Yeah, man, you can.
I'm Dana White, founder of One Real Story, the podcast and books where we provide veteran entrepreneurs with practical advice through the voices of successful veteran entrepreneurs. As always, I'm coming to you live from the Voice Hub production studio in Indialantic, Florida. Our special guest today is a military veteran, serial founder, business philosopher, and linguist. He also is the founder of Vets to PM and its PDU University, co-founder of the Voice Hub, and the 501c3 Veteran Project Management Mentor Alliance. As always, as well as a two-time Amazon bestselling author and multi-topic motivational key speaker. He has helped thousands of military veterans, managers, contractors, and government personnel achieve meaningful, lucrative post-service careers and businesses through his multiple businesses, nonprofits, and books. My friend, mentor, and business partner, Eric Doc Wright.
Dana, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me on the podcast, bro.
No problem, Doc. How you doing today?
Man, fantastic, dude. This is such a hoot, bro.
Sweet. Well, thanks for your time. We'll get right into it, Doc. So, where are you from, and what inspired you to join the military?
So, I'm originally from California, now reside in Florida, and I was a welder. I was working as a ranch hand up in the high desert in California, and I kind of had plateaued in my welding skills, and so wanted to go to school. I had a vague idea that I could probably develop some more chops and make some more money and do some more welding, and so I could either go to the local community college and pay, $15,000, $20,000 a year, or hey, man, I could join a Navy. I get 3 squares a day. I get a rack, and they're going to teach me how to weld, bro, and then send me to the fleet where there's lots of things to weld on. So I joined the Navy.
That's pretty awesome. As a welder.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, a whole technician.
How was that
I don't
job?
even think they make them anymore, but yeah, a lot of fun, man. Loved it.
Awesome. So that goes into what your military background. So how long were you in the military, and were there any cool places that you went to, or?
Yeah, so I was in the Navy for just 2 months shy of 6 years. I was medically boarded out, which was a real kick in the brain pan or other parts. And then that was Gulf War 89 through 94. And then I was activated after 9/11. I was in the Guard. I was officer candidate. I was activated. I was put in a battalion guarding Lindbergh Field in San Diego, and did almost a year and a half on active duty orders or so, I think. Finished out 2.5 years in the Guard, and then they stuck me in the reserves, which is what they do with everybody, I guess. So I was in the reserves for another. So I've got, 8-9 years total in uniform, and had a really rough transition out of like the services every single time, bro. So that's really what was the catalyst for getting me started down the path I ultimately ended up, which is business.
Awesome. So, Doc, that's where, is it fair to say, where your love of the military came from? And hence, that's the reason why every time I see you in photos, you have this pocket square in there. Can you tell me a little bit about Pocket Square?
Yeah, so Pocket Squares, my buddy Chris started it. He founded it, and it's basically, you can really up your game with a pocket square, right? Civilians know that, but they don't teach us that coming out of the military. And it's a real easy way to put it in there and kind of dress up whatever you're wearing. And it shows you got game. You put on a cool pair of socks, you put on a nice pocket square, you got game. You can still wear a nice traditional suit, with the sleeves sticking out and the collar above here's how you dress yourself in a civilian uniform of the day, but you can add a little flair, but it's not over the top. So anyway.
Absolutely. So that's where, I come to you for my business
Pocket
attire advice, and I need a pocket square.
Yeah.
So, but as we transition, so going into business, what inspired you to start your own business?
Well, I mean, look, man, so here's the reality. when I transitioned out, bro, I could speak naval nuclear propulsion. I could speak Army satellite comms. I could speak leadership. I could speak stuff that I thought in military speak is cool. So if you say, hey, I'm Arty, or hey, I'm comms, or hey, I'm whatever, everybody knows what you said. The veterans do. The only problem is less than 0.5% of our nation's population serves today, bro. So if you're talking to somebody, I mean, I get people all the time, I say I'm a vet, and they ask me if I'm a veterinarian or like, can I help their dog? And I'm like, that's why I say, no, I'm a military veteran. I'm not a vet tech or a vet or like whatever. So you've got to make the assumption that right, wrong, or indifferent, they probably don't know what you mean. They probably don't know what you're talking about. So it's literally like if you've ever been in a situation where you're talking to somebody and they've got a really poor command of English as their first language, or vice versa, you're talking to somebody in Mandarin Chinese and you don't know a word of it, but it's their first language, that's just a really bad conversation. Like, you know, you're lucky if you find a bathroom or get, figure out where the McDonald's is, right? Like you can't even find a place to go get something to eat or go to the bathroom. So
yeah,
what really helped was learning the language of business. So, and I stumbled into it, right? I got my first job, real job, Department of Defense, and I was a mediocre accountant, and I learned how to speak accounting, which is the language of business. From there, I went to finance, and from there, they figured out, hey, he's pretty loud, he's pretty gregarious. Dude's got some leadership chops. Maybe we should make him a project manager. And the rest is history, bro. It's been 6 digits ever since.
Wow. So you shook the stigma or the classification of you're just a welder to being an accountant into now you're a successful business owner. That's pretty inspiring.
It was hard work, brother. I mean, I'm used to like 2 pieces of metal, read the blueprint, stick them together, run a nice bead, you know what I mean? Like, and call it done, right? Outcomes based. But yeah, getting fluent in the language of business really was the key to my success. And so that's what I help veterans do now. And I help them learn to speak the language of business. I show them how to set up little businesses. I show them how to talk business to get interviews and jobs. I mean, that's what we do. So
awesome. So what age were you when you actually transferred to the accounting from the welding? Do you recall?
So yeah, I was 19 when I went in. So I was 23, 24 when I got out the first time. And then I was in my early to mid 30s. I was on every freaking waiver you could get me on to be in the Guard and be in an officer candidate school. Busted up my knee and got booted out of there medically too. But that was after the active duty orders had ended. So, I was a late bloomer, man. I was a 34-year-old intern, bro, like already graying out and stuff. So I got a lot of jokes made at my expense at the Department of Defense, but it made me hustle, man. I had to run circles around these 24, 26-year-old kids who had all the right degrees from all the right schools or whatever, right? I mean, I had to know what they know. I had to talk about it like they could talk about it, and I had to outperform them, and that's what I did.
Wow, it's all about grit. So that just takes me to my next question. If you could share any tips of starting your own business as a veteran, what would they be?
So here's the first tip, man. You got what you need inside you. The 2 most formative days in every veteran's life, regardless of service or branch or length of service or whatever, is the day you went from civilian to soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine, and the day you went from soldier, sailor, airman, Marine to civilian. In between there, man, you learned how to do a lot of stuff in some of the most crazy, harrowing, risk-laden environments you could ever be in, a lot of times fully under-resourced. Man, that's how they run the Civ Div. So there's these calluses that you've built up, these battle scars that you've taken. You know how to grit. You know how to be gritty. You know how to keep your head down, put it left over right, and get, only easy day was yesterday, right? You know how to get through the day and get to tomorrow and get to the tomorrow after that. That'll serve you well. So rely on that confidence. Have a little bit of swagger, and then learn to speak business. So for example, a counseling session in the military is one-on-one performance, right? I'm going to help you correct your performance. That's what we call a coaching session in the Civ Div. The civilian workforce is what I call it, right? So there's lots of words, command and control. We know what that means in uniform. The minute you say that, you know exactly what I mean. In the civilian workforce, it's the same thing. It's the hierarchy of authority and decision-making, and it's called governance. So there's a lot of words that mean the same thing in both languages, military speak and business. And so what I really do is just kind of help guys and gals, man, learn how to speak that business, how to translate from military leadership into business, and they crush it because business is the language of the civ div realm.
Wow, that's some very good advice. I mean, obviously, my background, special operations, come from the unit. So that required a lot of, you never take no for an answer. And when you did get a no, you figure out a way how to work around that no. And that's just the world that we worked in because, we're the elite. So I think that translated to the civilian side on my end and correlates with what you're saying is that you have the grit. You come from a veteran background. Pretty much Uncle Sam teaches you have 5 minutes to learn something new and be successful at it. Right. So you take that and to translate that to the civilian world, that still gives us a leg up in a sense. And I guess that brings to why some business owners want to hire veterans over civilians, ideally because we have a good work ethic.
That's right. They know you got the grit, right? You just got to get fluent in business. Because if you can speak to them in terms that they understand, they see all the value you bring, right? And, they'll hire you. I mean, we've helped thousands of guys and gals go into $90,000, $105,000 a year jobs, man. It's literally, you've got the grit, just get fluent in business. You do that, you're going to crush it.
So would you consider those the foundation and disciplines that you established throughout your journey? And that's the reason why you will kind of provide that to everyone as some of the key components of what you need in order to start a successful business?
Yeah, and when we're talking about vets and, entrepreneurs or vetrepreneurs, I mean, the focus of your show, the reality is, to that I would add, it's not just enough to know the terms and talk about business, but how am I doing? How's my company doing? Am I selling anything? Am I making any money selling anything? Am I saving any of the money I'm making after selling stuff? Those are basic management questions, bro, that if you can't answer, you can't run a business. I mean, last year I was out at a conference speaking to 500 veteran business owners. And I just did a little bitty experiment. At the breaks, I would ask them, hey, man, how's your company doing? What do you do? Can they tell me their marketing message? It's a train wreck 9 out of 10 times. What do you do? They can't even answer that question. And then I say, okay, cool. Are you any good at that? And they say, sure, of course I am. I say, cool. What's your profit margin? How much cash on hand do you have where's your cash hand on live? Which financial statement? Basic stuff, dude. The basic X's and O's. Bro, this is third base. That's called shortstop. Here's the pitcher's mound. You got to know the basic stuff or you can't even play baseball, right? You got to know the basics of business or you can't even play business. So what I would say too is learn the language of business, which is accounting, and know finance. And I'm not telling you got to have a PhD in finance. I'm not telling you got to go, teach finance and economics at Wharton. What I'm saying is use your financial statements. Know the difference between revenue and profit. Basic 101 stuff, dude. That's what I help vets do. And that's why I'm excited about the book that we're dropping at the end of this year, 2020. It's going to be amazing.
Awesome. All right. Well, Doc, I'll give you a chance to talk about that book right next. Next. So actually, my background is, I come from a civilian background. I've been in engineering ever since 18 years old.
Smart dude.
Drafting and design, and then, translate into different engineering disciplines. And I joined the military late I was 31. And so I was a late bloomer in there, but I've loved it ever since. I learned a vast knowledge of experience that I've obtained. So now, as a veteran, have you always been able to walk the walk and talk the talk in business? Have you always been able to speak the language? So this goes into...
No, it was a learning process, right? So when I say this to people, it takes work. It's not complicated. It's simple stuff. How do you learn to shoot a weapon? How do you learn to do drill and ceremony? It's just a process. You just got to learn the process. You got to know the words. So for example, salute. What's the definition of a salute? How do you do it? What's the technical, process? Who do you do it for? What's the context? Okay. So those are all parts of a language. Vocabulary, terminology, models, context, semantics, what does it mean? All that stuff. So you just have to practice. It's a process. You just have to practice learning it, right? You go into the service, that's a deck, that's a bulkhead, that's an overhead. You come out of the service, that's a floor, that's a wall, that's a ceiling. I mean, you know what the words mean and you can use them, right? So yeah, I don't know that I answered that question, bro.
Well,
but
I mean, you absolutely did, right?
It's a learning process. You just got to be shown the learning process, be shown the vocabulary, and then practice it. Network with people on LinkedIn that work at companies you want to work at. Throw words on them like, hey, do you guys use the P&L to like manage project performance? Like, they'll know exactly what you just asked them.
Right.
And if you know what that means, you know what you just asked them. And when they come back with the answer, you understand what they just said. Now you go into the interview and the interviewer is talking to you and you're talking about measuring project success with P&Ls and stuff. In the back of their mind, they're thinking, hey, that's awesome. This might be our next candidate. That's how we do project measurement around here. I mean, you know what I mean? You're doing this super secret squirrel handshake, dude. Just communicate with the right words and stuff.
And you're teaching that, right? You're the source of being able to learn how to walk the walk and talk the talk.
That's right. That's right.
So,
We'll be releasing a book at the end of this year, 2020. And it basically is how to teach veterans the language of the business. Chapter 1, it starts with building up the vocabulary. Chapter 2, what's the meaning? Chapter 3, and then, the rest of the book is putting it all together. So you know a little bit of finance, you know a little bit of accounting. Now, can you walk in and say, hey, I'm the CEO? Probably not. But can you walk in, get hired into a senior mid-level position, ask really intelligent questions in board meetings and stuff and of your peers and figure it out? Yeah, man, you can. You can. You hear in the transition classes and stuff all the time. And I mean, I got lots of friends that work in that system, and I appreciate what the Department of Labor does and everything. But, the reality is, bro, when somebody stands in front of you and says, Dana, don't talk military, man. Write a resume.
He did all
Make
the time.
sure you got a suit. Well, do you know that the suit should be hand-tailored? Because if people see this certain kind of stitching, like they know you're put together, the pocket square, whatever, like stupid stuff we don't know, man.
No.
So when they say, hey, don't speak in military leadership, Dana, like I did, that was my problem. Well, okay, what do I speak in? The advice usually stops right there at the admonishment, right? Yeah. Don't speak it. Okay, well, what do I speak? I'm just not military, like not your branch or whatever. And it's like, okay, what do I speak? That's the gap I'm filling, right? Because veterans like actionable plans. Dude, give me a land nav map, give me a compass, bro, give me an azimuth, I'll figure my way out, right? Like, yes. We'll get it done, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not about giving you a hand out, right? Or a hand up or anything, man. I feel like vets after serving deserve a meaningful, lucrative career, just like any civilian has the right to a meaningful, lucrative career. We don't need any give-yas, right? Just give me a fair shot, man. Let me compete. Like, just give me a handshake.
Absolutely.
Let me have a conversation with you. That's it, man. That's all we're shooting for.
That's all I ask, Doc.
Yeah.
That's all I ask, and I'll take it from there. So, as a successful business owner, entrepreneur, and a whole list of other things, right? Because the sky's the limit with you. That's one of the biggest reasons why you're one of my mentors. But people look on the outside, and they're like, well, this had to have been instilled in him at an early age. So that just brings me to one of the things you told me in the past is like you were a kid selling candy in school at a very young age, right? Do you think it's important to introduce our children to entrepreneurship, and why?
Oh, yeah, man. One of my favorite YouTube videos, and if you haven't ever checked this out, bro, check it out. Show it to your girls or whatever. I showed this to my kid in like 3rd grade, right? It's Bill Ackerman, who's like a multi-billionaire finance guy, dude, super intelligent. Bill Ackerman, and he literally spends like a 45-minute video, dude, at 3rd grade level, like walking you through how a lemonade stand how you could build it into a legitimate exit at 5 years. It's one of the most amazing videos I've ever seen, dude. And in fact, I made it required watching for all of my incoming freshmen, right? Like, hey, you're gonna hear accounting and finance. You better know what I'm talking about. Watch this video. Make some popcorn. Watch this video. I mean, make a thing out of it. But yeah, man, my kid watched it early. I'm in like 7th grade selling candy, bro. Take a roll of Mentos, bust them up. It's 50 cents for the whole roll in the cafeteria, but law of supply and demand, bro. If you're in class and there's no cafeteria and somebody's eating Mentos and you don't have any Mentos, they're now 25 cents a piece, bro. I got a whole roll. You want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, basic supply and demand. So I think, we should be teaching kids finance, basic personal finance, and we should be teaching kids basic business because that's how we operate, right?
Yes.
At least until we leave the Constitution to become a socialist.
Right.
Experiment around here. That's how we operate. We're capitalist. You still have to behave ethically. You still want to take care of the customers in the market and your reputation, all that stuff, man. Just do right by doing good and make a buck, right? Serve other people first. Nobody cares if you make a buck, dude, as long as they got what they wanted, right? What's in it for me? That's what they want. Give them what they want. And then they don't care if you get a buck on the backside. So yeah, third grade, my kid was watching that stuff. And, funny story real quick is I'll never forget, man. This is what I was grinning at when you were asking me the question, bro, is I will never forget. So I left home at 17. I'm walking out of the house. My mom's yelling at me. Well, what about college? What about whatever? I'm like, I'm not even going to spell college. I'm never going to college. I'm not going to go welder, sell stuff or whatever, right? Like I knew what I was going to do. It was going to be a practical applied thing. So here I am 30 plus years later, bro. She's a PhD. She taught for 32 years, 35 years at Butler University, accounting professor.
Oh, wow.
30 years later, bro, I'm a PhD in finance. Like, you know what I mean? I said, I'm never going to college, right? Like life has a way of making you eat crow, but business is really what unlocked that. So it's, when people look at me and say, gee whiz, I couldn't do that. You can do that, bro. I'm a welder. Like make a plan, blueprint, get the supplies, metal, rods, sticks, hoods, leathers, whatever. Build something, man, right? Just fail fast, build something, get it out there. Make something somebody will give you a buck for, bro. Do that a million more times, you're a millionaire. Like simple economics.
Absolutely. That's a great story. So that's one of the things that we have in common because at a young age too, I used to sell candy. So it was like Jolly Ranchers in one hand and Airheads in another.
That's right.
And when I ran out or if everyone was eating candy, it was like, I'm not eating my own supply. It costs money.
That's right.
So I think that those are some of the skills that I don't know where I got it from. I just knew I had a drive to want to control my income, and not be solely dependent on someone else. So that almost brings me to the next question is that because I've had a lot of tries not a lot of tries. I had one big try in a drafting and design company that I started, and it was about to hit the brink of success. Then I decided to go to the military because I've been at it for so long, right? Yep. But you don't know where that next highlight or that next easy point in your business that you've spent so much time building, that each opportunity that comes along could be your next one to make it take off for you. If that makes any sense. So now for those times that you may have had doubts in doing your first initiatives at business, what has inspired you to keep pressing on?
Well, so back to that grit, right? So, I mean, look, here's the real story, bro. Like, I think V says this, or somebody says this, right? Somebody on LinkedIn with lots of videos and stuff says, hey man, it's about like not how many times you get knocked down, is like how many times you get up or whatever, right? And they also say things like, hey, I'm an overnight success. Well, I was an overnight success, but it was over 1,000 overnights, right? Where I was burning the midnight oil and getting 3 hours of sleep a night, right? So my whole point is that, dude, my first two businesses, bro, failed. I mean, they're still in the bottom of the gulch where I ran them off the cliff on fire probably, dude. But I learned like Thomas Edison, I learned a myriad of ways. Okay, if I ever start another business, I'm not doing that, right? Like product market fit or pricing, like stuff that you only learn, man, when you're in the market getting your teeth kicked in, right? If you learn the lessons, you get better at it, and so at some point you succeed. Keep getting up, right? Fall down 7 times, get up an 8th, or whatever the proverb is. So yeah, my first two were complete failures. You do some analysis. I figured out why. My next one, my third one was not. Took $500 in a vision and turned it into a multi-million-dollar company in just 5 years. Used that success and some of that seed capital to start another 2 companies. Used that success to start co-found a nonprofit with my buddy Joe Puz, great patriot Joe, out in Arizona, the Veteran Project Manager Mentor Alliance. So, my day company gets military veterans to these great, meaningful, lucrative careers in HR, cyber, project management, whatever. And then VPMMA takes over after that, and industry mentors them, right? So we're like the ACP or the Veterati for veteran project managers, right? So Anyway, and then leverage that success to start writing books and leverage that success to keynote speak and all that stuff, bro. So people like hanging out with successful people, right? It's grit.
Absolutely.
And it's speaking business, which is outcomes and inputs and resources and budgeting and basic 101 stuff, man. Coupled with the veteran's internal drive and ability and belief and confidence and courage and persistence, bro. Veterans. That's why I'm so stoked to be on your podcast, man. There couldn't be a topic more dear to my heart. Veterans and entrepreneurs, man. Because the reality is, bro, if you retire from the service, look, man, unless you don't ever plan on working a day in the Civ Div, you better learn business, because here's the deal. You're going to work at a company, either yours or somebody else's. Just figure out which and then go get it. Business can help you do both, man.
So, I'm glad that you're happy to excited that you're on our podcast, but on my podcast. However, the conversations that we have, Doc, because, we're friends, we're business partners, you're a mentor. We can talk all day long. And the things that I have learned was that along my journey, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find another room to be in.
Yeah.
And I feel like the new room that I've been establishing and the network that is key helps elevate you. Because I can say now, from knowing you personally, you are a go-getter, and no matter how much success that you have had so far, you continue to still have that same drive. And that's one of the things that I admire about you. So keep doing that. But are there any latest projects that you would like to share to our listeners?
Well, I mean, the book that I'm working on is probably the main thing, and I gotta give a shout out to all the people playing, man. Some of the veteran business owners that are playing in this book, I'm gonna lay down hey, here's how you do business, the basic blocking and tackling stuff, and they're gonna sprinkle it, dude, liberally sprinkle it with vignettes. Here's why the financial ratios matter. Here's why inventory control matters. Here's how I've got a veteran, great guy, special forces guy, got a company, does a lot of black box business type stuff with McDill, and he's actually a manufacturer. Right, so in the age of the internet and the gig economy, where it's all service based, or a majority of stuff is service based, he's still doing manufacturing. So, he's probably going to talk about some inventory control, or how does that equate to his profitability or whatever. And so, I mean, we've got some giants, bro, that inside the vetrepreneur space. Wait till you see the lineup list, man. It's going to be huge. So I just want to thank him now, for absolutely. All of the behind the scenes stuff that we aren't talking about in the marketplace. And the other big thing too that just happened is we are now an approved SkillBridge provider for the Department of Defense. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what I do on the government side of the house is taking care of Department of Labor, because the more effective I can help the Department of Labor be, the better they take care of my veterans, brothers and sisters that are coming out of the Department of Defense, right?
Yes.
So that's how it all ties together. So, anyway, that's our next big initiative is DoD SkillBridge provider. We've got a revolutionary plan, bro. People come in, they literally work on cyber projects, they secure networks, they literally work on agile projects and predictive projects. They earn their PMP, they earn their CSM, their Certified Scrum Master, they earn their Sec Plus, they earn their CASP, dude. Like the HR, they come in and actually onboard people, offboard people, work in policy making and labor law and stuff. I mean, we're literally putting you in the Civ Div trench under our watchful eye and credentialing you, because we're a training company, bro. We're a training and placement company. That's our core business. And we're credentialing you so that when you're done and you hit the Civ Div, bro, if you know the little bit about dressing and you're articulate and you can spell business 101, right? And you can talk not only in general business, but you could talk in the specific targeted stuff you got, and you got credentials. We give you the certified manager credential from the internationally recognized Institute of Certified Professional Managers. We're one of their approved training partners. The PMP, the CSM, the HR, I mean, dude, name it. So now you've got chops. You can communicate that you've got chops. And oh, by the way, my resume's full of stuff that validates I got chops because somebody else said I got chops. So anyway, it's just that SkillBridge program is just going to be, we're gonna put transition on steroids, man.
So basically you're saying that if you're a veteran, you need to come see Eric Doc Wright at Vets to PM.
I wouldn't say that because that would be arrogant, but like if, my buddy Dana wants to say that would be awesome.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And then if you're a civilian as well, you do have programs to help civilians on that side too. So you're establishing a niche in the market or love to help veterans on the entrepreneur side and on the corporate side of the house.
Yep.
So those are the two disciplines that they can come to you for advancement in their careers.
Yeah, because, the reality is, while anything veteran is my favorite flavor of whatever it is, wanting a meaningful, lucrative career in a successful, small or mid-sized business is not just the purview of veterans, bro. It's what everybody wants. It's the dream, right?
Yeah.
So enrich yourself, better your life, better your station, take care of your family for generations. I mean, that's what everybody wants. So meaningful, lucrative post-service career isn't just for vets. So that's what we've done is I coach small to mid-sized businesses for RSM Federal. Couple buddies, we're buddies first. They were my coaches in the federal space, and they just said, "Hey, dude, can you just come work with us someday?" So we do. So, but that's part of that whole, like you and I.
Yeah.
Success breeds success.
Absolutely.
Dana's like, "Hey, we should do this project," so we go do this project. The Voice Hub. I mean, this is a combined joint effort between J. Media, your company, and my company, Vets to PM. That's what this is.
Absolutely.
And look at this. It's a specialized thing that's way outside both of our areas of expertise. Together, we built the expertise. We got the capital, we got the plan, we got it, we resourced it, we could speak business 101, we speak in the common language. Here's the Voice Hub, bro. Look at this place.
Yeah. Look, I'm very fortunate to have you in my circle. So, Doc, let's in getting ready to close out your latest book. I thank you for allowing for me to be a contributing author, right? And it's an Amazon bestseller. Yep. Can you tell us a little bit about that book and where to find it?
Yep, couldn't be more stoked. So you can go to www.vets2pm.com/books. And you can get an autographed copy from me, right? You just put your order in and I sign a thing, we send it to you, right? But, a lot of books on transition are like this expert's opinion, that expert's opinion, this other expert's opinion, which is awesome. Awesome. Because I've read probably 90% of those books. They're good stuff. But we took a little bit different spin. Because every veteran's different, and every veteran or military member transitioning is different, for me to tell you how transition goes from my perspective, and that's like it's the only perspective, is not really giving you the full sight picture, is it?
No.
Got some blind sides, right?
Absolutely.
So here's what we did, man. We've helped thousands of military veterans transition into meaningful, lucrative post-service careers. So you know what we did? We reached out to our network, and 39 of them said, "Heck yeah, Doc, we'd love to play, bro." So 39 contributing authors donated or contributed 101 lessons learned, bro, about how they transition successfully. So you literally can pick it up and put it down, pick it up and put it down, pick it up and put it down. We've got people telling us they're reading it 2 and 3 times, man, because it was so rich with information the first time. They got to go back and read it again. And that's what really makes it rich is the 39 different authors. You're one. I'm so stoked you decided to play, sharing their thoughts, revealing their fears, demonstrate that courage. And what turned out to be the coolest part of the project, Dana, and I got goosebumps, man. The coolest part of the project, I never even saw this coming, was every author was given an About Me page in the back of the book. Yes. It ended up being a whole nother half of the book, dude. And when you read through that, man, they're talking about their country and their service and their families and why they wanted to participate in the book. And, they hit me and they say, "Hey, Doc, I just sent a copy to my mom's, or I sent a copy to my uncle, or I sent, hey, I bought a copy and autographed it for my kid and we're reading it at night, I mean, dude, it's just a nuclear business card, as my buddy Mike Lejeune at RSM Federal would say. It's just a nuclear business card, man. You give somebody an autographed copy of your book and they get your insight and then they get 38 other people's insight, man. It's a labor of love. And in fact, we've already got 27 authors signed up for the next edition. We're going to drop that in late spring, early summer. 101 lessons learned, edition number 2. We've already got 27 authors signed up for it, bro. So it's going to be even better, man. It's going to be even better.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome, Doc. So in closing, where can everyone find you?
Okay, so I'm on LinkedIn primarily. I just learned how to spell Facebook. I can spell Instagram and Twitter. So I'm at the handle Doc Wright 2012, right? Because that's when I pinned on the PhD. So that's the handle I'm at. Easy to find me. You can always hit me on Calendly, right? So www.calendly.com/Doc Wright 2012 for phone calls, chats, whatever.
Nice, Doc.
Cool.
Well, look, as always, thank you to have the legend Eric Doc Wright with you for our time today, for sharing your time today with us and sharing your stories. So I'm pretty sure a lot of your information that you provided will help future entrepreneurs, and hopefully you'll be on our show again to talk about a different topic, right? Because this is just the introduction. And to our listeners, thank you for your time, and stay tuned. There's more to come with our book, our very own book, One Real Story. If you have questions or would like to continue to be inspired, you can always find us at onerealstory.com. ONE realstory.com. Thank you.